Imagine you vibe coded this project. This project has multiple lines of code, like more than 10,000 lines of code, and you all vibe coded it. Your teammates also did that, and now you have a mess here. You made this in the hackathon. You may have won, you may not have won, but you like the project, and now you wanna build it. You wanna ship it to the real users, but there's one thing that you don't have the context of the code. The code base is large, and you don't know where to go. So there's a lot of files here. You can't really ask the Claude to do things again and again, and it's a messy. You have multiple front end here, and you obviously have different files which you don't know, but the Claude made it for you. Or maybe you are a front end developer and you joined a company, and or you may be a backend, but you don't have the context of the new code base and you don't want to read it. Specifically, like going through the code, it may be boring for you. I mean, who knows nowadays? So, what this project does is it helps you to understand the code base better. You can have multiple lines of code, maybe 10,000 to 20,000, or maybe even 50,000. So, this project allows you to actually go through that code base easily. It basically goes through the code base and tells you the main points, how it's connecting, all in the simple language. It doesn't make the complex stuff a lot easier, but it makes it to a certain level that makes you understand it better. You may join a company and you may want to know the undocumented code that they provided, so it will help you a lot. As you can see, 5 pages: bootstrap, trials, planning, processing loop, and finalize. At the end, you can have the code base that may be complex but simple to understand. Let's go through it. So as you can see, I have a code base here, and it's Flutter code base. It's basically a plugin for window focus. I won't go in detail what it does and what it doesn't, but as you can see, we have different kind of files. And just an overview, I have example code here that uses this plugin so that user can use the plugin, can have an idea how it works and etc, the implementation and everything. Then I have the main files here of the plugin, that is written in the Dart, and then we have native code that is written in Swift for the plugin. We have different files also, and then we have the C++ code, window focus plugin. This is mainly for the interaction with the native hardware operating system. So it is written in C++, and then we have also like other files, etc. So overall, this is all like plugin in text with each other. So what I'll do now, I'll just delete this folder. I'll go and let me just get this generated. So I typed here CodiLay. So then I have different options. I have my provider ready, I mean model. So I'm using GPT-4o. It costs less, so I'm using that. Then I have different options here. I'll straight away go for the, I have done my setup, so I'll straight away go for the documenting the code. Yes, and now it is scanning the file structure and everything. I have got the details what is going to scan, so these are going to be skipped. Then we have skim, just basically going over through overview thing. Then we have the main core that will be documented and gone through, so for understanding the code base better. We also have like how many tokens we saved by skipping those. We can also include by having a file, a config file. So if something like is currently missing, skipping the example, but let's say I wanted to include the example code 2 into the documentation, I can have that done. But for now, it is automatically skipping it. It's just on the cost saving mode, so it's just skipping the stuff that is not important, and have some files that may require review. It's also obviously going through the, might have custom entry and custom integration, custom bootstrap code. So I'll just click on pass. So it will now go through the code. It's gonna take time because even though I have parallelism enabled, in the way LLMs work and go through the code, it's kind of complex thing, and it's gonna take time because we can't really put the entire code base into the LLM. We're gonna go through step by step, so it's going to do that. The main issue where it may gonna take time is the files with the longer length code, like this C++ file here. It's gonna take a time because obviously it's a lot longer, like 2000 lines of code. So it's gonna break that code into the different sections and then go through it and combine it, so that it's more of like sub agents doing this stuff and then making the context of what is happening here and connecting with the other code. And also, like, LLM may have taken the decision here of skipping this because I don't see the file here, and it may obviously because it may not be necessary to include this the main native file, because LLM according to LLM you may not need to know how it's interacting with the backend operating system, but you can obviously include that. So now we have this Codebase MD, so we can read it, but I'll just go and read it on the web. So now I have a interface open here. That is actually documentation of this plugin. The plugin is very small, so the documentation isn't very large, but I can show you the documentation of something that is huge. So as you can see, I have different sections there. Then I have also like files and stuff. I have a graph of how the links are made, dependency, etc. Then for comparing the commits and searching conversation, team stuff. Then we have tools if you wanna like have the context provided to a LLM or to different LLM, maybe on the web, maybe on the ID. We have different code, and obviously if you click here you can see the code. Then you have chat base assistant. You can ask anything here. It's kind of, these are kind of like made up, but let's say like I want to ask the input detection, so which are the inputs that are detected. And here we have the stuff. It's kind of an overview, like the documentation overview, but we can also go deep if we wanna go through the code stuff, like if we want LLM to go through the code overview. And we can obviously have these references, and so saying like detected inputs and everything. So here I have the code base of the main tool. So you can see first thing is the config. I have the config built here already, but I won't go through it. As you can see, I have different files and everything. I also have like this empty folder. I'll delete this. So what I'll do now is I'll use the tool to actually document this code base. So go. So it's now classifying the files. It has found like 76 files, so I have 76. It is also like ignoring the git-ignore files, like whatever I have specified here is being ignored by the tool. You can include it as you can see in the config. You have nodes instructions. You can ignore the stuff you want to ignore. You can also include it, like if you want to include it. It doesn't matter for now, so I'll just enter it. So I already see core files 14 just going to be skimmed, and it's gonna take a while. Obviously, because the files are kind of large and it's 20,000 lines of code base, it's gonna take a while to process it. Okay, so here it has done the processing that was mainly going to be happened on the code base. Now it's going through some files that are parked, like we didn't have much context for those files. So now it is going through those with the context is already built upon these files. And we can also like change the number of max workers. Like we were running the parallelism here. The multiple ports were going through the code base at the same time, and it's kind of complex how it handles. Like it's basically the analogy of bias, and we can also like see in our code base in the parallel or orchestra how the architecture is handled. So now it is just going through the remaining files, and it should be done soon. Okay, now we have the files generated, and we have finally have the summary of it. So we have the commit that it documented. Next one will diff from here. Like every diff that we like every commit that we make will be different. So on every commit we'll only have the updated part to be updated into documentation. Then we have made 64 LLM calls and 3 lakh input tokens, 37 output. But these 64s are because we have the large code base, and we somehow have to like go through the code and manage the large code files. So we make 64 calls. These are dynamic and according to the code base. If the code base is large, then the calls are going to be a lot. So now we have the main code base here. This one is large documentation because obviously code is very large, like around 20,000 lines of code, but it has done a phenomenal job of documenting this stuff. You can obviously go into the details also if we want to, but overall it has done the great job. We have the documentation of like every file here, how it is connected, and we can also go through the graph, like how the dependencies are. So let's say we are going to go on this one. We have the parallel or orchestrator file processing, how it is processing, and docs on that. The prompts can be modified obviously to be more precise or like go into more details, but otherwise we also have like this part here where we can like type in about, let's say, parallel orchestrator. Obviously it's going to take time, so I won't go over there. We also have the memory thing, but we have to make the context for that. Let me just go through the purpose, and let's send it in. And we have documentation. The purpose of is to coordinate parallel file processing based on dependency trios using thread based approach. So we have the overview of it. We can obviously like go into detail and everything. We can promote, pin, copy, and also it aims to do with the teams. So software is more on the team side. We have the documentation diff option, but obviously I haven't like scanned the another commit, so it's not doing that. Then we have conversation, team, and everything that I've already shown you. Another thing to note here, we support multiple LLM providers. So not only we support like this project supports like cloud providers, we also have like the local like Olama. You can have any Olama model, like have the LLM Olama here, and it has like different models. So you just need to specify the model name, and you can ask it directly. uh, it's obviously going to be resource intensive where you have multiple things running, but you have multiple stuff here that is supported. multiple models. One thing to note here for the custom one, your model needs to be supporting the OpenAI's endpoint. That's how we are communicating with the custom. So that's one thing to note here. And then obviously this documentation is going to be in the Codebase in the CodiLay folder. So if you want to read it, you can obviously serve it. And there's a lot of stuff that you may need to read it because before you configure it for your purpose. Now that was the project that I showed you, CodiLay. You can go to this URL and actually go through the documentation and everything. You can check it out if it fits your requirement and everything. You have different features, 25 plus CLI commands and more are adding. You can like go through the documentation, how to install the commands that you have. There are multiple commands, like you have the schedule also, you have the team support, you also have the watch, like if you have used the Node.js watchdog, then you have like if the code base updates, then the documentation runs again. It consumes a lot of tokens if you had like done the small mistake there, and it will again run. But it does consume a lot of tokens if your code base is very large, like 20,000 lines of code will easily consume like around $1. But this is the documentation, you can go through it. You can find all the links in the description, be sure to go through them.